Hello there, I'm Azara Tagaya and you're watching RinggitPlus, the show where we talk about personal finance. Now on this episode, we focus on those of you seeking for a job. Fresh graduates and students who will soon be entering the job market may also find this week's features useful. Now, a recent study by the Center of Governance and Political Science found that bias still exists in the job market. In this study, they sent out almost 3,800 job applications for 6 mock candidates of different genders and races: Malay, Chinese, and Indian. Now, all the candidates had the same resume and academic achievements. They even listed down that they spoke Mandarin. Now, when the candidates got the results back, the Chinese female candidate had the most call for interviews, while the Indian male candidate had the least calls to attend an interview. Now, does racism really exist in the job market, or could there be other reasons why fresh graduates are not getting jobs within 6 months of graduation? Do you know how to write a good resume? And what are the common questions asked in a job interview? Well, this week we want to help all the fresh graduates and those who want to change jobs increase their chances of finding one. We're starting our first story at jobstreet.com, a website that helps to match job seekers to their employers. So today we are at Job Street together with our intern Azanis Shahila, or Anis, and Anis is going to look for a job in a few months, so we want to know how to help her. Now Anis, what's your biggest worry when looking for a job?
Actually, as a fresh graduate who wants to seek for a job, my biggest worries is that there's other candidates other than me who can stand out in terms of their resume, in terms of their interviewing techniques, that there is something that I'm so worried about.
Okay, so today we're going to help Anis by giving her the best tips possible.
As a fresh graduate, it's normal to feel that you don't have enough experiences to put in your resume or talk about during job interviews. However, there are some tips that you can apply to increase your chances of landing a new job opportunity. Gan Bok Herm, country manager of JobStreet.com, has this advice for those looking for a job.
Well, I think before that, so congratulations to all the fresh graduates. I think they have now finished the hard part, which is to finish the school, and then now they're going to the working career. I think a couple of things that I think a fresh grad needs to do. Number one is obviously, do some research before you look for a job. And obviously, you need to understand the market demand. You need to understand the relevancy of your qualification to what the industry is looking for. And obviously, it's very important to know what kind of salary that you can expect that a hirer would pay you to do a job. So that's one part of it. And then obviously, as I said, you can rely on jobstreet.com. We also have an employer review page where you can look at a company that you're interested in terms of the culture, in terms of the work patterns and things like that, which I think is very useful for a fresh graduate to understand as well. Yeah.
According to a report written by JobStreet for 2019, the number one skill that employers are looking for in new employees are proficiency in digital technology. Gunn mentioned that it's good for fresh graduates to have an open mind to be able to embrace new technology. Those that don't have the required skills must do a lot of self-learning to make sure that they are relevant to what the market is looking for.
The first thing the fresh graduate needs to understand is what is the gap that the person has, right? And then be able to learn or relearn some of the things that is relevant to the industry. So there's a lot of courses. I think JobStreet, we also offer through our JobStreet education, online courses that a candidate or talent can take, just again to make yourself more relevant, right? And I think it's very important, I think that they make themselves suited to what the industry is looking for, right? If not, then obviously they would probably not get a job.
According to the annual salary survey done by JobStreet.com, the average salaries offered by companies has increased by 5% for 2019. For fresh graduates, you can expect an entry salary anywhere between 2 to 2,900 ringgit. It will obviously be based on your qualifications and the field of specialization that you're in.
First of all, I think it's kind of good news for people who are looking to change job, because I think based on our Job Outlook report, the first 6 months of this year actually is a peak hiring season. So as a matter of fact, between January and March, we expect 90% of our hires actually say they will increase hiring. And from April to June, about 76%. So the first half is clearly, I think, a peak hiring season for candidates or for talent to look for a job, right? So I think from a salary expectation, I think they can always do some research. We obviously have a salary guide, and then they can compare where they are today in terms of their qualification and experience versus what they expect to get in the new role.
We also asked Gan to review Anis's resume.
So a couple of feedback with regards to your resume. I think first of all, I have to commend you. I think it's a very nice resume because I think you put a lot of information here which is relevant to what a hirer will be looking for. So I think first of all, it's very important that you had the career summary.
Yeah.
So you are really trying to explain to the potential hirer what are your key strengths here, which I think you have actually said it very well. For example, I am a skilled communicator, able to maintain cultural sensitivity, establish rapport with members of diverse groups, and promote team cohesiveness. And then obviously, I think your results here is very good. So you have called out a lot of these results that you achieve. And again, this is something that I think for a fresh graduate is very important. So a lot of our hirers or companies today are looking for people who are able to have very strong skills, soft skill sets. So all in all, I would probably rate this CV, I think probably a 9 out of 10.
Oh, thank
So
you
very
so
good
much.
resume. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Gun says the most common question asked in a job interview is, "Tell me about yourself." This is where you have the opportunity to talk about how you overcame an adversity or what your strengths are. While you're talking, what employers are really listening to is your communication skills and confidence level. As for salary negotiation, don't raise the subject until you get an offer letter or if the employer raises the topic first. Lastly, don't be afraid to start at a lower salary. What you want is the job experience that will take you to a higher salary in the future.
Now, if you know someone who is currently looking for a job and could find our story useful, then share it with them on Facebook. You can find the link on our Facebook page, RinggitPlus. We're going for a short break. After that, we take a look at how fast rising technology companies in Malaysia are hiring. What are the qualities and traits they look for in a candidate? The answers in a few minutes. Back on Ringgit Sense Plus with me, Azaria Tagaya. Thanks for staying with us as we talk about job opportunities. Now, fresh graduates tend to be attracted to companies with famous brands like DG, Petronas, and AirAsia. As this is the typical scenario, this means that those companies will have an abundance of candidates sending in their resumes, meaning only the best will stand out. But in terms of employee satisfaction, what facilities and job benefits do such companies offer their staff? And most importantly, how can someone secure a position at companies such as these? Well, let's find out.
Everyone knows the AirAsia brand and its cheap flights. Behind the brand are the people who make it work. How do they hire?
We are at AirAsia Red Queue to find out what it takes to work at this unique company. Now, AirAsia has been highly successful from the outset, and a lot of fresh graduates find a career here appealing. But we want to know, what does the company look for when hiring potential future employees?
We assess for skills, but beyond skills, we also look for two very, very important things. We look for culture fit. This is a very unique company. It's a very unique company not only in Malaysia but in ASEAN, in fact globally. And how do people fit into this very unique culture and environment is very important. Because you may be great in some other company, but if you don't fit into the culture of this company, you may not be successful. So I think culture fit is really, really important for us as we think about recruiting people. And we look at our values as a lens for us to see whether people fit the culture or not. So we have values like people first, make it happen, safety always, one AirAsia. These are really great values because they make us think about whether this person will be able to live these values or not. If they are able to live these values, that means they're going to be a good cultural fit and they're going to be successful here. So that's the second thing. And the third thing that we look for people is learning agility. And learning agility is all about the future, whether people will be able to adapt, learn, grow, and have the potential for bigger jobs in this company. And there are 4 aspects of learning agility that we look at. So people agility is one, how they deal with people. Mental agility, how they think, is the second one. Change agility, how do they manage change? Because we're a company which has to go through a lot of change, which goes through a lot of change. So change agility is the third one, and results agility.
AirAsia took us on a tour of their Red Q building, and it has facilities that is more like a clubhouse than an average office. The facilities are pretty impressive, but there is a reason for it. As the office is next to KLIA2, it's pretty far from everything else, so they try to make the staff feel at home here.
The workspace here is designed using an open concept. Now the reason is, in typical offices you usually have partitions and walls, and this sort of creates a sense of division. So sometimes you feel like you even have to make an appointment just to talk to the person next to you. So with an open concept, you're really able to freely communicate and talk to everyone.
We asked Varun if all these facilities actually increases job satisfaction at work.
It's a continuous effort, right? Because we can't just say we create a brand new office, it's nice, there's a slide, there's food, and therefore people will be happy. It's not that. I think the slide and food are not the reasons why people remain happy in a job, right? I mean, they're important and people see those as kind of benefits that they have, but what they need is satisfaction on the job that they do on a daily basis. You know, are they enjoying the job they're doing? Are they creating something? Are they adding value? And my philosophy has been that there are 3 things that really matter for people. First, everybody should be able to say that they're learning something every day when they come to work. Second, they should also be able to say that I'm contributing.
Varun adds that it doesn't matter if a fresh graduate doesn't have experience. What matters is that they have the initiative to learn and can contribute new ideas to the company. In AirAsia, they always listen to new ideas, even if it comes from fresh graduates who have only been working for 3 days.
So for fresh graduates, you know, because they don't have any experience, it's always interesting how do you hire them and what do you assess them against. So you've got to assess them against basic foundational values and principles that they hold dear to themselves. And we try and match that with what we're looking for.
Varun adds that the key things they look into when hiring fresh graduates is how the candidate handles adversity. Can you overcome a problem easily? How do you handle it? To be clear, they're looking for candidates who are ready for the real working world. They also look for candidates with high agility. They want somebody who is able to work with different levels of people and can work well in a team. We also asked Varun which is more important, job satisfaction or salary.
I think you have to fulfill different levels of needs for you to be comfortable with the next higher order level of need, right? If your salary is something which you every day think is not enough, then you're going to think about your salary every day, right? Every minute of the day. But if you have an adequate level of salary and that's covered, then you go to the next higher level order of needs that you have. And that could be, am I contributing? Am I being creative? They talk about self-actualization, where you're not thinking about money, job, title, etc. You're thinking about your contribution. You're thinking about, are you happily connecting with what your values are, with the values of the company, and are able to contribute without thinking about the material kind of benefits. So I don't think one is more important than the other. I think they go hand in hand, and there is a base level requirement for you to meet your what is called physiological needs. The physiological need, comfortable working place, salary, safety, security, etc. And then you can think about the higher order needs.
At the end of our visit, we asked Varun what advice he has for fresh graduates who want to secure a job with large companies like AirAsia.
Don't give up. Apply, right? Because there's so many. We get thousands of applications. And sometimes not even easy for me and my department to kind of respond to everybody, because we really are inundated with people wanting to join us. And not only here in Malaysia, but across the entire company, across the entire group. So, if they don't hear back, don't give up. Keep trying is one basic tip. But make sure when you apply, for any job here, do not send us the standard resume because nobody is going to look at it. Share with us that one unique experience which makes you stand out as an individual. And once you do that, we'll respond.
So start polishing your resume. Make sure it's not a generic resume that you're sending out. To work with the best, make sure you're the best candidate out there.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that feature. To watch it again and for other stories on personal finance, head on over to our Facebook page. Now we're taking a short break. After this, more tips on making your resume stand out and beating other potential job seekers. See you after the break. Thanks for staying with us on Ringgit Sense Plus. You're still with me, Azaria Tagaya. And if you've just joined us, we're talking about the job market, specifically what tips can be useful for those of you seeking for a job. Before we look into that, we need to know, how do companies hire fresh graduates? What questions are asked during a job interview? Our producer, Oi Beng Chiang, spoke to Kit Nyo, product manager at RinggitPlus earlier. We asked Kit if he had any tips for university and college students who will soon be graduating and entering the job market. This is what he had to say.
I think it's very important for fresh graduates to get experience having an internship while they are still in college. So to start getting those internships would greatly help them to secure a job before they even leave uni or college. But that's just one. The another thing is, if it's a bonus for students to also go to startup events and networking events to actually broaden their horizon to see what's outside and to expand their networks to meet new people, different people in the industry that they're actually passionate about, which actually could greatly help them with their network.
Many employers are looking for candidates with experience, but where can you get this experience if you're a fresh graduate? Well, Tim advises students to test their entrepreneurial skills by starting a small business while they're still studying. The struggles of starting and maintaining a business will give you real-world experience that an employer is actually looking for.
I think you definitely know that now starting business and startups are all about the craze and they're all on social media and everything. So I definitely do advise that take your first 1 to 2 years, try to commercialize a project or start a business. Why? First, it actually gets you out of your comfort zone, because when you're in uni, you're in college, you're pretty much in that comfort zone. So you want to get out of that comfort zone. The second is that you actually build up those business skill set that most employers are really looking for, that most are fresh out of boat, fresh graduates really don't have. And the third is that you are actually able to understand what are your passions, your drive, your motivations, and develop those work ethic, which really helps you to go far in the long run. And here's a bonus, pretty much you really don't have anything to lose if you're a fresh graduate, but you have everything to gain actually. Yeah, so that's my advice.
So for a tech company like RinggitPlus, what are the personality traits you're looking for in new hires?
We definitely look for hires that have a great work ethic, great willingness to learn, and great determination. Those are very important skill sets and attitude traits that we are looking for. Skill sets alone can be taught. Skill sets can be taught, but personality and traits, those are actually really, really hard to find. So where we find those people, we really try to hire the best of those type of people.
Kit also shared his own experience and in going the extra mile at work.
So let's say, for example, I could relate to myself. So if we need to work on a longer time, on a longer schedule. Sometimes I bring work home, and that has been fine with me. But for some, it might not be so fine, right? But so people need to be comfortable with that. So, and it's not really expected, but it will go a long way. So that is something that I take in account to work ethic. People don't have to tell you to work overtime or something like that, but at the back of your head, you know, it's your responsibility. So you want to use those times where you think you're free and then try to achieve those tasks that you still have.
Okay, so during a job interview, when you're talking to these candidates, what are some of the common questions you'll be asking them?
Definitely tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself is the best example of your 3 minutes moment to shine. Because most of the time when you go through an interview and you ask that question, people will just normally say, oh, I have great work ethic. I have this, I have that, I have this. But you don't tell people how you get those great work ethics. So I believe that the depth of your narrative really helps the employer. Like, you could be an employer now and I am telling you. So that going to the depth of your narrative is extremely important because it tells people how you achieve that work ethic rather than I have, but tells people how you achieve that process so people know that you are indeed doing something to achieve that trait. That is one. I think the second one is also a very important one, which is what are your weaknesses? A lot of people try to shout about what they're good. I'm very good at this, I'm very good at this, but people don't really like to say, I'm not very good at this because it makes them feel bad. But it's very important to not to oversell yourself, but to also know that you have weaknesses, and having weaknesses is fine. That's not a problem with having weaknesses. But be confident in figuring out how you want to overcome them. Communicate with the person in front of you, saying that I'm going to do X, Y, Z to solve these weaknesses of mine. And then that would actually help the employee to understand.
So how long is normally the interview process?
Usually it can take between a good one will probably be 20 minutes, but you can kind of know when an interview is not going really well, and it'll probably end within 10 minutes or so. But when you have something good going with the person in front of you, it's very easy to tell.
Kit also has this tip about negotiating for salary. It's not always about how much the company is offering you, as there are other factors you should look into that will help grow your career.
Do understand that when someone is telling, the employer is offering you a salary, it's not always about the salary. You have to take account to the growth of the company, you have to take account of the opportunities you might have in this company, take account on the training you have in this company, because those things will help you in the long term rather than the short term. I think most Malaysians care about what's the paycheck. I go out mama with my friends, I chill with my friends, they always say, hey, how much you make? They always ask me, how much you make? But I would like to illustrate the point that it's not always about the money, that there has to be something more towards that money. Yeah.
We hope the tips we gave you today will increase your chances of getting a job, and we would love to hear your feedback. Do you have any questions about money and personal finance? Find us on Facebook and drop your feedback and questions there. I'm Azara Tagaya, and we'll see you again next week. In the meantime, save and invest wisely.